Hey guys, welcome. Oh my God. I'm recording this on a Friday night. Pascal's at work and Maverick is in daycare. Maverick has been a lot lately. He's like a toddler. It's just like crazy. Okay. So today I want to talk about resentment because I have a really good scenario that happened to me and Pascal 2 days ago. I did it in real time on Instagram, but I wanted to put it all together here because I think it's such an important thing to remember as we head into the holidays. So Pascal, funny enough, struggles with time management. And it's wild to me because I am excellent at time management. I manage my time like a freaking rock star. And I am never late. I'd rather be 2 hours early than 2 minutes late. I set timers now because sometimes especially with the time change, like the day can get away from me. And so I wake up in the morning, I look at my appointments, I set a timer 15 minutes before all my appointments. I just have really good time management and I have worked tirelessly with him. And so, that thing, like you model the behavior you want from your kids. Yeah, it doesn't always work out because he doesn't have it. So he had harvested, we are hunters, and he had harvested 2 deer in a relatively short amount of time, in 2 weeks. And that's a lot of meat. And we butcher our own animals. And the big hardest part of deer meat is that you have to trim it. It doesn't have intramuscular fat. And so it has this thing called silver skin. And you have to trim very carefully the silver skin off. It tastes terrible, but you have to do that because it'll clog your meat grinder if you don't do it properly. So I'd been on him. It was a lot of meat. He had a big buck and a doe, and our house is small. Our fridge is small. Deer meat has to age. So like the fridge is just bursting with deer meat. And I'm like, you got to get this done. And it's a pain in the ass. And I've done it for him his whole life, like since he started hunting when he was 12. And I don't hunt it. I didn't hunt at all this season because I can't deal with it if I harvest a deer. Like it's so much work afterwards. So anyway, I was on him like all the time. And then this one day he was running late. He had to go to work and school and jujitsu and all this stuff. And he was like, Mom, I'm running out of time. And I was like, all right, now this is crucial. I was pissed off already because I'm going to be stuck with the grunt work. He gets to go out all day tracking an animal. I don't get to do that. I now get the grunt work. You have just interrupted my day. I couldn't record a podcast. I can't record a reel. I can't do any of the things I do. I work with clients and now you just busted a hole in my day. But what did I say? I said yes. Now, I could have said no, and I knew in that moment I could have said no, but also the deer meat we were getting close to the edge. It was aged. It needed to be dealt with. And I said a dirty yes. And I have this system that I was like not quite aware it was a system, but it is, that I've used my whole life, which is a dirty yes or a clean yes. So I said a dirty yes. So a dirty yes is when the minute it comes out of your mouth, you didn't want to say it. You don't want to do it. You're bitter about it from the start. Okay. So he goes, I do the deer meat. Now I'm sitting there bitching and moaning in my head. Now I am starting to get furious. And then I start banging around the kitchen. I dropped my coffee. I broke a glass. Everything was wrong. Maverick started to bark. Like it's really windy right now. And he barks at every fucking fallen leaf. And we live in the woods. So that's significant. And so we have magnetic doors in the summer. And so he can come in and out of them as he pleases. But now it's getting cold, so the door has to close. But he still thinks he can come and go as he pleases. So he barks like crazy. It's like super, super jarring, like a really loud bark. And then I have to get up. It's like, unbeknownst to me, this is like all day long. When you do something as a mom though, and you don't even realize you're doing it until like, you're like, oh my God, I'm going to break. He goes outside, he riles up the chickens. Now I really can't record something, right? So it's just been this disaster. And I kept getting so pissed off. And I said, all right, let me listen to some music. It wasn't helping. Podcast wasn't helping. And I was just like, I was winding myself up like all by myself in my head. And now, boy, the laundry list of shit Pascal needs to hear from me is growing and growing. And I just was like, okay, fine. I just got to go for a walk. Like nothing's being accomplished here. I got to break this mood. I always go for a walk when I'm in a mood, get outside. I literally learned this from a woman a long time ago. And this has everything to do with why I love hiking so much. Years ago in San Francisco, I was going through something in my 20s. And she said to me, go to the mountain. There was Mount Tam across the Golden Gate Bridge, like a doable. It's not really a mountain. It's like a big hill. And she was like, go to Mount Tam and give it to the mountain. The mountain can hold it. The trees can hold whatever you're going through. And I was like, oh my God, that's so great. And so I went to Mount Tam, I gave it to the mountain, and it was awesome. And so I've always known that like when you are feeling rageful outside, don't be in your house. Your walls can't contain it. Like they can't. So go outside because the outside can contain it. So I went outside, I started walking with Maverick, and well, Maverick was the impetus because I was like, this dog, I'm going to kill this dog. This dog is driving me up a wall. This dog is up my ass like a 2 or 3 year old. And so I got him outside. So that's lesson number 1, too. I was like, no, he needs to go for another walk, even though he'd already had 8 miles that day. So I take him outside and I'm stomping it out. And I know, because I know in my head that now I know I'm raging too much against Pascal. I know it. Like he's not guilty for all the sins of the world, right? But I'm getting there. And so I go for the walk and I'm like trying to tease it out. And I was like, oh, I said a dirty yes. I knew the minute I said it, I didn't want to do it. I knew I was resentful the minute I said it. So then it just compounded. Now, I've done a lot of work, so this was very, very fast. And I knew like, even if he had been home, I don't think I would have reacted to him, not right in that moment. I was glad he didn't come home soon because I would have like let loose on him. But I knew in the moment that like, this isn't him. And what I sorted out was that it's not his fault. It's not his fault that I said yes. Is it his fault he didn't do the meet throughout the week? Yes. Is it his fault that he had poor time management that day? Yes. However, when he said something to me, I could have said no. And the big thing is he would have learned a very hard lesson because that would have been awful if the meat spoiled. And part of it too is that I would never, ever harvest an animal and let the meat spoil. Like that's not how we roll. We're very, very respectful, ethical hunters. And so there was this like almost obligation, right? And certainly, you guys, when we go through life, there are going to be things that we have to do, that we overextend ourselves. We don't want to do. We have to do them and we have to suck them up. So I thought when I said yes, that's what I was saying, but I was wrong. It was just all resentful. And so I figured that out. I also got home from my walk and I looked in the mirror and I was so mad. I was so mad at my bangs and my hair. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but my bangs are pissing me off. I love my hair short, but when you have really short hair, you have to get a good haircut every time. And so far, I've been averaging every other time. And the last time the girl really fucked up my bangs. And I haven't been able to get them to look cute. It's like so much work and it looks like I throw these scarves in my head, but my hair is too fine for my bifocals. So they slip out of my head. So I wear these scarves. The back is growing. It's just like, those days where you feel like just so ugly. And so this was a tipping point for my bangs. And then I went through this whole like drama of like, well, now do I grow my hair out? Because now it's going to take 2 or 3 years to grow my hair out long. It looked cute when it was in braids. Do I keep bangs? Well, no hairdresser seems to be able to cut them straight anymore. I was just like, oh my God. It was like, what's that book? Alexander and the No Horrible, Terrible, No Good, Awful Day. And so like nothing was right. And then I was like, Jesus, this feels like the first day, like the day before my period. And I know I'm digressing, and I'm digressing because I want you to feel the insanity of where my mind was going that day. Like I was all over the freaking map. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm 2 years postmenopausal. So I know I'm not bleeding. So I know my period's not coming, but like the hormones must like, they fade slowly. They don't just drop off. So like, would this be a day before my period? So I got lost in that. And then I was like, well, maybe I'm following a moon cycle. Let me look up the moon cycle. So I am an absolute squirrel at this point, but I know that it's not Pascal's fault. So I get into the shower and I was like, dude, just could you make yourself look cute at least? So I get in the shower. I do my bangs kind of cute. I gel them so they're like swept, and I made my hair look cute, put on eyeliner, even though it was nighttime. Cause I was like, just could you look cute for 5 minutes? And so looked cute. The water helped, of course, when you're raging. Water helps. I take cool to cold showers, so that helps a lot. Just wakes you up and invigorates you and releases some endorphins. And then I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm done for the day. The kitchen was clean. I cleaned up the messes. I got settled, and I was like, why don't you just watch a television program? And I was like, all right. So I stretched, and I ended up having a lovely night. Pascal came home, and I was like, hey, you want to hear the fun thing that happened to me? And so I go through the whole thing, and we did have a heart-to-heart about responsibility, particularly when we're talking about animals and harvesting animals and the meat that we get from that, and that we are blessed. And, and so he heard me, and he was like, yes, I'm so sorry, whatever. And he's like, but I am glad I missed your psychosis. I was like, yes. So I posted this on Instagram and a couple of people really commented back and forth about what do you do when you start building a tally, like a tally against somebody in your life. And a tally is never a good thing. So should you find yourself in resentment, number one, I want you guys to get really good at a dirty yes. A dirty yes needs to be a no. Okay. And a clean yes is just a nice clean yes. And this takes practice. And I've had a lot of practice, and I still kind of screwed it up with Pascal and that day. So know that, because women are typically and historically terrible at boundaries. And so we say yes, we tend much more towards people pleasing tendencies. And if you have trauma on top of this, you may have a fawning response. And so we say yes to things we don't want to. We say yes to things that will overextend us, make us busy. We say yes to our partners, to our parents, to our kids when we want to say no. And then we end up mad at them. And it's not their fault if we can't say a clean yes or a clean no. Not as in a dirty yes is a clean no. So let's take an example that somebody asked me on Instagram, which was, what do you do when your spouse wants to play golf and you let them go, but then you're mad about it? That is a very real thing. And my stepdad plays golf. Golf can take a half a day. Golf can take a whole day. If you hit the 19th hole, golf can take a day and an evening. So golf is a time-consuming sport for a parent. I typically think it's one of those sports you have to lay down when you're a parent of little children. However, if there are some Saturdays, I'm sure, where you say, babe, go, I got it. The kids are great. Go have fun. Love you. Bye. That's a clean yes. And I'm sure there are plenty of days that happens. Now, one Saturday, you need your spouse around the house because the laundry's got to be done. The market's got to go on to, the garage needs to be cleaned. You got to winterize the yard. Maybe you're getting ready for the holidays now, and they want to go play golf. Now, it's very easy to get mad at our spouse and be like, oh, men never help. It's very easy to start blaming all men, right? Well, how could they be so clueless? It's a week before Thanksgiving. What are they doing? They could be, we get mad. We start to generalize. We start to get catastrophic. Always, never, right? And so that might be the day where you say, no, babe, I need you here. Thanksgiving is happening. I got a laundry list of things to do. I need you here. And now, plenty of spouses disrespect that boundary and go anyway. And in that case, get a therapist. You need help that, you're headed towards a shitty marriage. If somebody is constantly rejecting your communication. But I know, as a woman and having been around a lot of women all my life, I know for certain that we are just bad at this. And so learning that's what I mean by a boundary. That's just a clean yes, easy peasy. And that easy peasy. I say easy peasy because it's simple, but not easy, right? A clean yes is easy. That's not a thing. The clean no is the hard part. And so get good at that. And this takes communication, and it takes communication afterwards too. So even though I was no longer blaming Pascal, I was no longer upset with him. I was not raging. I had calmed my own nervous system. I had also figured out some things to, before I was doing all this hiking, I would put Maverick in daycare 2 days a week so I could record. So I had peace and quiet, and I haven't been doing that because I've been putting him in daycare while I hike. And so I realized, oh shit, okay, that's on me too. I can't blame the dog. I can't blame Pascal, but I did have a heart to heart with him afterwards about this can't go on. I'm tapped out. And so, and just, it's disrespectful. You get to a point with your kids where they just assume you're just there to pick up their pieces, and you're not. And again, typically I don't have a hard time with letting him suffer the ramifications of his actions. However, this played in with, again, the animal factor. And so it raised the stakes a little and muddied my own waters. And I'm not sorry that I took care of the meat. I'm not. So all by way of saying, if you have people in your lives that you know the minute it's coming out of your mouth, even if it's your kids, you guys, this is how we start to not like our kids. And I know you all love your kids to the moon and back. I totally know that, but we get resentful of our kids when we continually let them overextend us in circumstances where we don't have to. And, clearly a sick child in the middle of the night, that's not something that can be controlled, and we're overextending ourselves. We're going to be miserable. We might even be resentful, right? But we know that's easy to quell because the child can't help it, right? But we often say, yes, your kid reacts horribly to screen time. They're up your ass all day. You're like, fine, yes, you can have the iPad. The minute it comes out of your mouth, you're like, great, now I'm going to have to deal with the tantrum after. Then it's a no. The clean no, as hard as that may be, is so much better of an emotional transaction. It's just a clean emotional transaction, right? I often use that term because it doesn't have a lot of guck. I'm proofing some sourdough as we speak. And have you ever seen sourdough bread? It's got all this stringy glutinous stuff to it. And that's what it is when I feel like we say that dirty yes. It's mired in this webby nonsense. So I hope that helps. And with your family, with, the holidays coming up, don't do things that are going to make you resent people, especially during the holiday season. Yes, we have obligations sometimes. I know, I certainly do some family obligations that aren't my favorite thing in the world, but I do them, and I try to do them with joy, as much joy as I can, because if you start building resentment, I'm telling you right now, it builds in your head and the other person's not part of the conversation. And so you're just doing damage to yourself and getting yourself in a lather. And then when it spills out, you're not even coherent. So take walks, get outside, give it to the mountain, give it to the trees, get in water, cold water preferably. And yeah, hope you guys have an awesome Thanksgiving. Bye.